Hello, welcome to Smash Hit Sports. I'm Cody, and today we are going to recap the College Football National Championship. Congratulations to the Ohio State Buckeyes. We're going to talk about my experience. I went to the game. It was absolutely incredible. And then we are going to answer some questions from my Instagram followers. So thank you guys for putting in those questions. Before we get into the pod, make sure to like this video if you are watching on YouTube. It's a huge help. And if you are not subscribed to the podcast, wherever you're listening, if you're listening to the audio version or on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button because it's the best way for me to do stuff like this, to go to the national title game, to cover it in person, to do the media stuff. I don't get to do that without y'all's support. And if you hit that subscribe button, it's absolutely free, but it is the best way to help this channel. So let's recap. The national title was absolutely a great game. Now, was it the best game of the college football playoffs? No, and I'm not going to pretend that it was, even as a Notre Dame fan. However, I do think that it was a great game. Notre Dame starts out that 10-minute drive, just an absolute masterclass in what Notre Dame wanted to do coming into this ball game. It's run the football, control the tempo, control the pace, be physical, and they did that for the first drive of this game. It was absolutely incredible. They did a phenomenal job, truthfully. And I want to give a shout out to Marcus Freeman and Mike Denbrock for a beautifully scripted drive. It went exactly how they wanted to. And, you know, they capped off with a Riley Leonard rushing touchdown. That being said, Ohio State pretty much dominated the game from after that standpoint. Notre Dame obviously came back, but that second quarter, 21 unanswered points for Ohio State. Jeremiah Smith and that first touchdown was absolutely incredible, and he had a great night, 5 for 88 and a touchdown. But that first play, Chip Kelly, a masterful play design, the perfect time to make that play call. It truly was exactly what Ohio State needed to even up the score. And then from there was all Quinshon Judkins. The running game for Notre Dame was a little disappointing to me. Riley Leonard was their leading rusher, 17 carries, 40 yards. The biggest question mark in this game, Notre Dame only gave Jeremiah Love 4 carries. The running backs had combined 7 carries for 16 yards. That is just an absolutely dominating performance by Ohio State. That defensive line, the linebackers, Jim Knowles, everybody involved in that production on the defensive side of the ball for Ohio State needs to be given just an extreme amount of credit. It was absolutely insane. They decimated Notre Dame's run game. Like 20 or 16 yards from their running backs. There was a combined 57 yards rushing from Notre Dame. Now, did the game script get out of hand and Notre Dame had to throw the football? Yes. Like, let's not put the cart before the horse here. But that was incredible. Their defense, Ohio State's defense was absolutely insane. Caleb Downs played a phenomenal football game. And I recorded my thoughts at halftime. I thought that there was potential that it was over, that it was done, that we were going to talk about this Ohio State-Notre Dame game in the same way that we talked about Georgia-TCU. And thank God that Notre Dame made that game competitive at the end. It truly did come down to the last drive. Jaden Greathouse put on an all-time college football playoff performance, 6 for 128 and 2 touchdowns, an incredible one-handed catch in the end zone. Defense draped all over him. They called a pass interference. Didn't matter. He made the catch anyway. Just a truly incredible play by Jaden Greathouse. It was outstanding. And the ability to make that contested catch without the separation was really his biggest asset all season. It's what separates him from some of the other wide receivers on Notre Dame's roster. And he was great. He was really great. Jordan Faison, who was arguably their best wide receiver in the playoffs, held for 1 catch, 6 yards. Ohio State's defense, I understand that their offense gets a lot of credit, and they have so many studs on that side of the ball. But their defense is the reason that they won that game. And I want to be abundantly clear about that. Ohio State's defense is the reason that they won that football game. And I understand that Notre Dame put up 23 points, which is almost double what Ohio State's season average was. But their defense is the reason they won that football game. Their offense didn't have to do anything insane, especially in the second half, right? Ohio State scored 13 points in the second half. But it truly was just an incredible display defensively. Shout out Jim Knowles and what they were able to do. Let's talk about the fake punt. I don't love that play call. from Marcus Freeman there. You were down, right? It's in the second half, and fourth and whatever, you're down. I think you were down 3 scores at that point. Just go for the day. You're not fooling anybody. You're not fooling anybody there. Just go for the damn fourth down. I like a designed play call better there than a fake punt that everybody in the building knows is coming. Like, I'm sitting there from the 300 levels talking with my brother and my wife, and I'm like, yo, they're going for it. Like, that, it wasn't even a question. So I don't know why you have Steve Angeli come in, and like, shout out to Steve Angeli. I mean, the guy was a hero in the Penn State game, but I don't understand why you put Angeli in run that fake punt, and then they were so ready for it. I just think that was a bad play call. I would have rather seen Marcus Freeman just go for the damn first down. Like, if you're going to do that, just go for it on fourth and make a play. What else we got? Moving on. We had Quinshon Judkins touchdown in the third quarter. We had the missed fourth down. Jaden Grayhouse had that incredible touchdown. That was the end of the third quarter. Yeah, when it was 31-7, I was nervous. I was real nervous as a Notre Dame fan. But yeah, Grayhouse, and then the Jeremiah Love shovel pass for the 2-point conversion. I thought that was an incredible play call by Mike Denbrock. Really, really cool. And then Jaden Grayhouse, another 30-yard pass. Riley Leonard, the Bo Collins, Jordan Faison throwing that run, sort of a Philly special type play, reverse to the wide receiver. Beautiful. He made a guy miss in the backfield, but a great play call. Mike Denbrock was dialed the fuck in for those 2-point conversions. The missed field goal. Let's talk about that, because that happened, I don't know, was that in the third quarter or the fourth quarter when they called that field goal? I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to go back and look. But the missed field goal was, I understand why you go for it, right? You're down 16. So yeah, they were down 16. So it had to be before the Jaden Greathouse touchdown and after the fielding field goal. You're down 16. I understand why you kick the field goal there. It's 4th and 9, right? Or 4th and goal from the 9. You had 3 shots from that spot. You couldn't get it. I understand why you kick the field goal there. And I thought Mitch Jeter was better in the playoffs, right, than he was in the regular season. Obviously, he was not healthy during the regular season, and that's why his stats look so bad. I truly think that Jeter will be like a potential NFL guy. Like, he's legitimately a good kicker. He was just hurt, but not sure what happened on that kick. That was brutal. Obviously from, the 300 level, I'm not seeing if it was an issue with the snap or an issue with the hold, but goddamn, that doink was loud in the stadium. It was loud, and the Ohio State fans erupted. Emeka Egbuka's fumble was, Drake Bowen played a great game for Notre Dame at linebacker number 34. He was outstanding. Great forced fumble on the punch out on Egbuka's long reception. I mean, that was a game-changing play. It was a game-changing play for the Irish, and we needed one, right? We were going to need a turnover if we were going to stay competitive in that game. We go down. Riley Leonard looked great throwing the ball. That might have been, outside of the second quarter, he was bad. He was bad, and I don't know if he was rattled after he threw up, if he was nervous, what the deal was, because he threw up after that first drive. I mean, they ran the ball. That first drive, I'm pretty sure they ran it 9 times with him on that first drive. I mean, that was insane. That's just not sustainable, but he looked good in the second half against a phenomenal Ohio State defense. So I want to give credit to Riley Leonard. But then Ohio State's last drive, they know they're down 8. A score ends the ball game. And really, if they don't go 3 and out there, the ball game's over. They run on first down. They run on second down. And then that third down play is called. And to paint the picture, being in the stands in the stadium, you kind of knew what was going to happen, or at least if you watched enough Notre Dame and Ohio State this year, you kind of knew what was going to happen. And I don't want to shit on Christian Gray. Great kid. Got a chance to interview him as a part of the media days, and I'll talk about that stuff, after the game recap. But got a chance to interview him. Nice dude. Super great kid. Super humble. But the matchup is what it is. It's a one-on-one on the outside. And I'm not sure if it was a cover 0 or a cover 1. He didn't have safety help on that side of the field. And I understand why you make that play call if you're Al Golden. Try to get to Howard quickly, make him get rid of the ball, If he throws an incomplete pass, you save a timeout and you get the ball back down 8 with a couple minutes to go in the game. And I totally understand it. I totally understand the play call. It was, you have to get home before Will Howard can get that ball off to Jeremiah Smith, because that's the easiest. Hey, one-on-one man coverage, he can beat you over the top, right? You knew, Ohio State knew that was going to be there, and all Notre Dame had to do was get home. They couldn't. Will Howard made a great play to a incredibly open Jeremiah Smith. Just a phenomenal route, and he made the catch, and the game was over. And say what you will, hindsight's obviously 2020. He made the play, he made the catch. I'm fine with Mike Denbrock going man coverage there. I know a lot of people are like, well, why the hell did he run man? Because if you run zone against Ohio State and you don't get after Will Howard in that situation, if he picks up the first down with his legs, you are also just as fucked. Because then he has the first down. There's less than 2 minutes left. You only have one timeout. You have to call it there. Like they just drain the clock and you lose by 8. So I understand the bringing pressure, make him get the ball out quick. Jeremiah Smith just made a great play. And as a Notre Dame fan, Ohio State was the better team. They played better. They won the game. I have to live with that result. It is what it is, right? I'm not going to sit here and bitch and moan and be sad and say, the refs fucked us and blah, 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 because I don't think they did. I thought it was a fairly well officiated game. Might have been a holding missed here or there, but I truly think that, Notre Dame needed to play an A+ perfect game. They didn't play an A+ perfect game, and they lost. Because if you don't play that against Ohio State, you are going to lose. And I understand that Ryan Day is a mental midget against Michigan. That's fine. I trust that Ryan Day will figure that out at some point. He coached an outstanding game. Chip Kelly coached an outstanding game. Jim Knowles coached an outstanding game. And those players executed to that game plan. It was great from start to finish. Ohio State, outside of the Emeka Egbuka fumble, they played a phenomenal game. Top to bottom. They played a phenomenal game. So all the credit in the world to Ohio State. They did an outstanding job. Congratulations to them. If you're an Ohio State fan, congratulations on the national title. It's well-deserved. I think that's a great summation to this season. They went in as a, 7, 8 seed in the college football playoff. They don't win the Big 12 title or Big 10 title. They don't get a chance to play for it. And they go in and they rebound after that Michigan loss. And this shows us why I think people want to illegitimize this title because, they wouldn't have even made it in a 4-team and blah, blah. This is why the 12-team is great. And we got some phenomenal football games out of it. And I think, and I truly believe this, the best team won the national championship this year. I think the best team won the national title. And at the end of the day, that's what you want a playoff system to do, is to correctly determine that, because there are college football is a sport with a long history of not correctly picking the national title or having multiple people have a claim at the national title. Nobody else can have a claim at the national title this year. Nobody else can have a claim at the national title this year. It's Ohio State. So congratulations to them. An incredible experience, an incredible team. And it just goes to show that when you build a team the right way and you stick with the right coach, that, things work out. Moving on to, let's do a little bit of kind of a year recap. It's interesting to see a $20 million roster come together and win like that. But part of that $20 million was retaining the talent that they already had in-house, right? Emeka Egbuka was draft eligible. Jack Sawyer was draft eligible. JTT was draft eligible. There were a lot of guys on that team that were draft eligible that they brought back. They went out. They got a guy like Quinshon Judkins. He scored 3 touchdowns in that game. There's a reason that, it worked. They went out and got Caleb Downs. And I think Ohio State I think other teams should replicate what Ohio State did this season. And that is recruit your fucking ass off. Recruit your balls off. and then fill in the spots with the transfer portal. You cannot build a team in the transfer portal. I understand that Colorado had some success this year, but like they were obviously missing some huge pieces. You cannot build a team in the transfer portal. I do think that you can build a team through recruiting and then fill in the spots with the transfer portal. Talking with at the press conference, the pregame press conference, the coaches were asked kind of how you go about roster construction in today's new day and age. And Marcus Freeman gave an incredible answer. We are majoring in recruiting and we're minoring in the transfer portal. And I think that's the absolute perfect way to look at it. So yeah, let's talk about the experience. So if you are interested in seeing kind of the full experience, I'm going to put out a vlog of my college football experience from media day to going to the national title game. I think it's going to be, I got some great footage. I think it's going to be a kind of a cool, a little more personal experience. It's something that's a little different from this channel. I have not put a non-podcast video out on my YouTube in a long time. So that is going to be coming at the beginning of next week. Give me the weekend to do some editing. I didn't want to include it as a part of this video because it is kind of its own separate beast. It's a different style and it is a little more intensive in terms of the video editing behind that. So that's going to be coming out. But to give you guys a recap without all of the fluff, pomp, circumstance, I did get credentialed for the college football playoff. I can now show my credential. I couldn't have showed on Instagram earlier because we're going to move this slide a little bit so you can see it better. I wasn't able to show it on Instagram earlier because the college football playoff gets kind of upset about that because, you know, you can print this off, you know, try to fake being me, I guess. But yeah, the credential got to go to media day. So what the schedule looked like is Friday, there was the like players fly in, the teams fly in, like a brief thing on the tarmac, and then not much else after that. So essentially the team arrivals. I didn't cover that because I had to work Friday. So my ass was sitting in my office chair. And then I drove down Friday night, stayed in Nashville, got up early as shit Saturday morning, like 4 a.m. Eastern, 3 a.m. Central, and drove to Atlanta. So got there early, picked up my credentials, and then we go to media day. So the media day is the Saturday before the national title game. And I had full access, and that was unbelievably cool. So the way that they have it set up is Ohio State came out first, then ESPN talent, and then the Dame. So the fans section, the fans could come and watch. So there were bleachers set up behind the area where the teams were, and fans could go, they could stand there, try to get autographs and sit in the bleachers and just kind of watch what all went on. So there were a couple interviews that had the microphones, so fans could hear that. But a lot of it was just going up and talking to guys. And that was a really, really cool experience. I want to give a shout out to some of the people that I saw while I was down there. 4th and 5 Josh. We did an interview with him earlier in the year prior to the Texas-Georgia game. Incredible dude. Was super helpful. He kind of inspired me to come to this. So shout out Josh, appreciate you. JD Pickle was there from On3, the hard count. He was absolutely incredible. Got to talk to him. Got to talk to Jack Settleman, Kevin Walsh, Clifford, I believe Taylor is his last name, who has a huge YouTube presence, super cool guy, very, very nice. Got to talk to a lot of the people who do content, and that was very cool. But I also got to talk to players, and that was such a cool experience because it was as fun and interesting as I was able to present it, right? The first couple of questions and interviews, it's kind of like weird because it's like, who the fuck is this guy, right? Like, I'm not there with ESPN. I'm not there with CBS Sports. I'm not there with like Sports Illustrated. So it's like, who the fuck am I to go and talk to some of these dudes? And I had to get over that mentally was a little tough. But once I got a couple interviews under my belt, it was real easy after that just to go around and talk to the dudes and talk ball. So got to talk to JTT, got to talk to some of the offensive linemen, got to talk to Sonny Styles, was a great interview. Got to talk to a lot of guys, was really cool on Ohio State. And then got to talk to some ESPN personalities. Saw Peter, Herb Street's dog. Got to talk to Stormy Bonantoni, who did a lot of the in-game activities for ESPN. Got to talk to Reese Davis and Chris Fowler and Holly Rowe, and that was an awesome experience. Those people are so nice, and their time is incredibly valuable, and for them to give me some of that time, I'm very appreciative of. So shout out to them. That was very cool. And then interviewing Notre Dame, got to talk to Riley Leonard, Mike Denbrock, Xavier Watts, got to talk to a lot of the offensive linemen, Sam Pendleton, who was probably the first Notre Dame, not just Notre Dame player, the first college athlete to follow my Instagram page was Sam Pendleton. Great to meet him, talk with him for 5-10 minutes. But it was really cool to interact with those guys. So we have the media day. And then after the media day ends, we have the open practice sessions. So the teams are very, very selective with what you could see in the open practice. So Ohio State was first, went to the open practice, basically stretching, warm-ups, an individual drill, and that's all you got to see. So there's nothing from a scheme standpoint that you get to see at these open practices at all. It's all individual work. It's all warm-ups. And we only had access for 20 minutes. It was very quick. So got some cool B-roll, got some cool footage, but it's not mic'd up. You don't get to see an in-depth of how practice goes, but you can get a lot of hints from how they run their practice, how sharp everything is. Everything's down to the second with these teams. And that was really cool to see how they run their practices. Even though you only got to see 20 minutes of each, it was a really cool insight to how these teams operate. And so that was Ohio State first, Notre Dame second, pretty much the same thing, individual drills, some warm-ups, and nothing major. So really cool. I got a lot of that B-roll footage. After the media day was over on Saturday, Sunday, there's not a ton. These teams are prepping for the game. They're doing their walkthroughs. They're doing some of the major media stuff. So like this is where ESPN talent meets with the quarterback and they shoot some of these behind the scenes things and talk through the stories that they're going to talk on the broadcast. So I don't have access to that. That is very specific to like ESPN. So for me, the head coach's news conference was at 9:00 in the morning. Got a lot of really good quotes, but didn't get any footage. A lot of the footage, the way it's set up, it's basically they're on a stage in a conference room at a hotel, and there are a shit ton of TV cameras pointed at them, and then there's just the audience, essentially. So the reporters are asking questions. You can raise your hand, ask a question. I did it in this format because they're like, when you ask a question, stand, say your name and who you're here with. And I'm going to be honest, I do not have the fucking following or the pull in that room to be asking questions. So I just kept my mouth shut, reported on what the coaches said. So I got a lot of that stuff on Twitter, but not a lot of video content out of that. And that's really it from the Sunday. There was a media party Sunday night, which I'm going to be real fucking honest, was way too bougie for my ass. There were like people, like waiters bringing around beers, and there was a lady dancing from a ribbon on a string, like from the ceiling, and they had a live violinist and a dude who was live painting stuff, and it was incredible. That was one time where I was like, holy shit, I do not belong here, but a very, very cool experience nonetheless. None of the like high profile people go to that. That was a lot of local reporters, TV, and then a lot of your like support staff went to that. So the guys behind the camera, production staff. So which all of the production staff, incredible. Got to meet a lot of really cool production staff, and it was a great experience. It was a great experience. So yeah, also college football national title merch. I didn't want to get a ton because I don't like having merch that says a team on it, like Notre Dame ATL bound or whatever, and Notre Dame lost. So it's like, why the fuck would I buy that? However, I did get this, thought it was pretty cool. It is a national championship. We're going to move this light so we can see it a little better. A national championship football. So pretty cool. Has the national championship 2025, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Atlanta. We'll make a pretty cool decoration for the podcast studio down here for the desk. So yeah, got that. It was pretty cool. Also got a college football national championship 2025 sticker for the kegerator. So we'll throw that on the keg. And Yeah, that's pretty much the sum of that. So let's go through Instagram questions. If you did ask an Instagram question, or a question on my Instagram story, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for sticking through this portion of the podcast. I know 27 minutes is a long time to hear me just fucking run my mouth. So if you have made it this far, thank you. I appreciate it. And if you are listening, follow me on Instagram. That way I can, put up these polls, and because I want you guys to be just as much a part of the show as I am, right? This is a conversation. I know I'm doing a lot of the talking right now, but this is a community and a conversation. So I appreciate y'all taking the time. I'm gonna take a sip of water here real quick. All right, let's do this. Instagram. I have looked at a couple of these. So how did I get credentialed to be on the field? So I want to say this. I was not on the field during the game. In the game, I was up in the stands, and the atmosphere was electric. Like, it was really cool. I think it's a lot different than the Super Bowl because I truly believe 90% of the people there were fans, right? It's not like the Super Bowl. I'm going to say maybe like 40% of the people who go to the Super Bowl are fans of the teams, and the rest just go to the Super Bowl because it's like the event to go to in sports. And that's not the case with the national title game. It was awesome. It was fucking incredible. That being said, I did have to buy my own tickets. I was up in the 300 levels. Great. I mean, there's not a bad seat in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, but I did not have field access for the game itself. However, how I got credentials, so I officially have like a business. I know that social media just kind of seems like a fun game and a fun thing to do, but this is a business for me. I started a business in January of 2024, and I applied through the College Football Playoff website through my business, and then that's how I ended up getting credentialed. So a little bit of luck, but more than anything, it's hard work over the course of the last year in order to set myself up to apply for these types of things. So that's why I started the business, so that way I could apply to these events, right? Because it's one thing to just apply as a content creator, but I'm a content creator for my business. Who are preseason's top 5 teams for next year? I'm going to say number 1 is Texas, Arch Manning, a loaded roster. Number 2, I'll put Ohio State. Don't quote me on this. I'll do a full top 25 on socials. Yeah, number 2, give me Ohio State. Number 3, give me Georgia. Number 4, give me Penn State. Number 5, give me Notre Dame. We'll start there. I think that's a pretty strong start. What are my thoughts on Jeremiah Smith's first touchdown? It was such an incredible play. And I want to give, it was the perfect play design in the perfect play call. Jeremiah Smith, there's only a handful of people that can stop and cut the way that he can. And for him to do that coming in motion to cut right back out, it was so quick, it was so crisp. Even if Notre Dame had read that perfectly, it's so hard for anybody to keep up with Jeremiah Smith like that. It was the right time, the right place, really truly a perfect play call. Chip Kelly, props to you on that one. That is like, I know the second that he called that in, he's hitting the guy next to him like, hey, watch this shit. Because it was that great. It was that great, truthfully. So shout out to Chip Kelly. That play call was outstanding. Where do Notre Dame and Ohio State rank in the brightest futures conversation? They're at the top of the sport. And I think Ohio State probably more at the top of the sport than Notre Dame, just because they have the ability to pull in transfers and recruit a little bit better than Notre Dame does. And that's just being honest. Even I can say this as a Notre Dame fan. Ohio State has the largest alumni base in the country, and that helps, right? They are the only power conference team in their state. That helps, especially in a state like Ohio. That is such a football breeding ground. And then you have that. They are in the Big Ten and like a lot of that. So I would put Ohio State up with the brightest of futures: Ohio State, Texas, Georgia. And I would put Notre Dame in that conversation, right? This is a historic program that has every resource imaginable. And I think Notre Dame has a bright future ahead. So at the end of the day in college football, one thing matters more than any other thing, and that is, do you have the coach in place that you believe that you can win a national title with? I believe that is the case at Ohio State. I believe that is the case at Georgia. I believe that is the case at Clemson. I believe that is the case at Notre Dame. And I say what you will, I understand that Marcus Freeman, he has not won a national title yet, but winning 2 New Year's Six bowl games puts him in pretty good conversation. Texas has the right guy in place in Sark. I think there are only, it's less than 10. I think there are less than 10 teams that truly say that they are competing for a national title right now and have the coach to do it. And I think, of those 10 teams, Notre Dame and Ohio State are both in that conversation. Oregon with Dan Lanning also in that conversation, right? So I want to give all the credit in the world to both of those teams. I think Ohio State has a brighter future at the moment, but no shit. They're just coming off a national title win. So it is what it is. Next question. So shout out Connor Little, Tanner Dale have answered your guys' questions. Marcus Howard, Caleb's 2004. Let's go. Who will be next up at the quarterback position for Notre Dame? I think there are two options. I think it'll either be Kenny Minchey or I think it'll be CJ Carr, but I don't believe it will be Steve Angeli. I think that Mike Denbrock really values his quarterbacks being able to run. Minchey gives that more than Angeli does. I think Angeli's a really good pocket passer, dial it in, like doesn't make mistakes. But I think Minchey has more of the rocket arm, freak athlete, gives you a little bit more with his legs than Angeli does. CJ Carr, on the other hand, phenomenal player. Phenomenal player. I think the dude is as accurate as they come. Really good, really good high school player. But he's young, right? He's redshirt freshman. Yeah, will be a redshirt freshman next year, I believe. So I think it'll be Minchey or Carr. We'll see. Spring ball plays a huge part in this. So, and that goes with any team. If you are interested in who your quarterback's going to be next year, stay dialed into spring ball because that's going to tell you a lot. Early Heisman picks. So real quick off the top of my head, I know FanDuel put out a graphic. I think it's dog shit. The graphic that they put out based on who is the favorites to win the Heisman. Starting, I think the top of the list was Garrett Nussmeier, which is fine. I'm not opposed to that one, but there are some of these that are just absolutely absurd. Heisman odds, Garrett Nussmeier, Arch Manning. I think Arch Manning could. Cade Klubnik, Nico Iamaleava. There's no shot that Drew Aller wins the Heisman. And that's not a shot to Drew Aller. Penn State's offense is so based around the run, and they do not have the wide receivers required for him to win a Heisman. It's just not going to happen. Jeremiah Smith, I think if there's a non-quarterback that's going to do it, Jeremiah Smith is set up as well as anyone. Lenore Sellers, I think, is interesting. Julian Sayin, who we have not seen any of at Ohio State yet, but he's going to be the guy behind Will Howard. I think Dante Moore at Oregon, filling in for Dylan Gabriel, I think is interesting. Steve Angeli being on this list, I just don't see it. Marcel Reed, I don't see it. Jalen Daniels coming back for like a sixth year, I don't see it. Gunnar Stockton, no way. DJ Lagway is interesting. John Mateer at Oklahoma is interesting. I'm excited to see some of these. So we'll see how it goes. If I had to pick a favorite right now, I know it's chalk. I know it's fucking soft as shit, but Arch Manning is going to have so much media buzz behind him. He would be my early Heisman pick. I think it's like plus 850. So yeah, that's who I would pick going into it. Yeah. Way too early, top 5 or top 10. Jacob, I appreciate it. Already answered that, but I will do a preseason top 25. Post-loss depression, it's a real thing. How do I cope? That's a great question. So I talked pretty extensively with my brother after the game, who was there with me, and there are different types of losses. Like this one hurt, and I have a very similar one that happened recently for me in the Bengals losing in the Super Bowl. I'm a massive Bengals fan, and them losing in the Super Bowl was kind of in the similar fashion, right? At the end of the day, I'm a very lucky individual. I'm very blessed. I root for a team that can compete for a national title. Not everybody can say that. I have incredible, content and a great wife, great family. My dogs are incredible. So, and I enjoy talking with y'all. And that truly is part of what gets me through this, is being able to have these conversations. I know there are a lot of people in my comments that are, fuck you, Ohio State against the world, Ohio against the world, fuck you, you're a dumbass, you fucking idiot, I can't believe you. That's fine. I understand that. And I hope that the day that Notre Dame wins a national title, I'm not a dickhead on the internet. But yeah, at the end of the day, it is just football, right? It is just football. And I know that that's really counterintuitive to say for a guy whose entire fucking brand is sports. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to sit there and cry about it. Life goes on. Notre Dame had a great season. We're 14-2. We won two New Year's Six bowl games in the same year. Notre Dame hasn't won a New Year's Six bowl game since I've been alive. I'm almost 30, and this is the first New Year's Six bowl game win I've seen Notre Dame have. I'll enjoy it. I had a fucking awesome season. I got to go to the national championship game. Do you know how fucking cool that was? Like, yeah, it sucks. Losing sucks. But God damn it, I had a great year, and I want to change it. You know, if we had to go back and restart the season from day one, even the loss to NIU, God damn it, did that Saturday suck. But I had a great season, and I had a lot of fun, and I had watched a lot of great football. And how upset can I be about that? You know, what else we got? Just couldn't keep getting pressure, kept saying, I talked about the scheme with Notre Dame a little bit, and like, he made a shot. He took a shot. Al Golden took a shot, and I'm not going to fault him for that. He's been a phenomenal defensive coordinator his entire time at Notre Dame. I cannot press the guy for sending people there. He missed. Yeah, how was the experience being at the Natty? It was incredible. Yeah, just, you know, how was the atmosphere different than most other college games? So this is the first time I've ever been to a game where it was a true neutral site. So every other college football game I've been to, I've never been to a conference championship game. And even then, like, the Big Ten championship is one of those where, like, it's closer to some teams than others. So is it really truly a 50-50? But like the SEC championship, it's played in Atlanta. Like, Georgia's going to have a home field advantage. But this was a true 50-50 split. This was as 50-50 as it could possibly get. And it's a really cool experience when, like, Notre Dame scored that first touchdown. One side of the stadium just fucking erupted. It was incredible. And then Ohio State scores. Their side of the stadium erupts. And you kind of have like a chant off a little bit, like OHIO, let's go Irish, like back and forth. And the passion of the fans, like, it's really cool to see that. Having both bands being in attendance was awesome. Like, and that's two phenomenal bands with two incredible fight songs. There's so much history and tradition, and like the tailgating beforehand was that everybody's mixed in together. It's not just one team. It was an awesome experience. Obviously, it's not cheap. I'm very grateful to be able to afford to do something like that. I would 100% do it again. If your team ever goes to the national title and you have the financial ability to, like, not take out a fucking loan to go get a ticket and go, I cannot recommend it enough. It was absolutely incredible. Do I think Notre Dame should have been in the national championship? Absolutely. Now, do I think Notre Dame was the second best team in the country? No, I do not. I think they were third or fourth. If I'm going to be honest, I think Oregon and Texas were probably better teams. But Notre Dame they fucking beat Georgia. They beat Penn State. They beat Indiana. They beat 3 top 12 teams, 2 of them on a neutral site, on the path to make the college football national championship. They absolutely deserve to be there. I think that's anything else is ridiculous, truthfully. What is your way too early college basketball Final Four predictions? Not going to do that. Not going to do that right now because Nick and I are going to start covering college basketball on the podcast next week. So, and how did Ohio State win that football game? Defense wins championships, man. Defense wins championships. It's as simple as that. So, yes, if you made it to this point in the podcast, thank you. Appreciate it. What's going to happen over the next couple of weeks? College football's over, right? It's a little different. How are we going to do this? How are we going to do the pod? Nick and I are still going to do the podcast each and every week. We are now going to talk college basketball. Now, if something big happens in college football, we're going to talk about it, right? We're going to talk about it. However, as of right now, we're going to be talking college hoops going forward. My content on my Instagram page, my TikTok, all of that, we're still going to have a lot of college football stuff. We're going to throw in some college basketball in there too, right? Because I'm just as much of a fan of college basketball. I just don't, the page is a little more dedicated to football. We're still going to do a lot of football stuff. So we have a lot of football content coming. Don't worry. I know it's the off season. That doesn't mean I'm going to stop making videos. We have a lot of college basketball stuff coming up. We have some giveaways coming up with that. We're going to do a bracket challenge. It's going to be great. And I'm super excited. I'm hoping to make more YouTube content that is not just the podcast, right? So I'm going to have the vlog of the national championship. I'm hoping to go more places, do more things. I'm very, very excited for that. And the final iteration of this is we have a lot of sports to talk about, and I cannot fucking wait to do it with y'all. So do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. The best way to support this podcast is to tell a friend. So I am going to put my fucking heart and soul into editing that vlog. Please, please, please watch it. Let me know what you think. Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments of this video what you thought. And I'm excited to keep sharing the sports journey with y'all. This weekend, if it taught me anything, it taught me that doing this and covering this, yes, it's on the side. Yes, I got to spend a lot of my own money to do it, but God damn it, I love it so much. So I appreciate y'all, and we will see you in the next one. Peace.